Hey guys, welcome to the Massive Iron Channel. I'm Steve Shaw. In this video, I'm going to talk about two things people rarely talk about when it comes to deadlifts. Before I get into this topic, if you have any questions or comments, drop them down below. The best topic ideas, I turn into videos just like this. All right, two things that are rarely talked about in deadlift videos, and these are things I discuss with my clients often. Number one is the first rep is usually not the best rep. When you look at deadlift sets over and over and over again as a coach, usually the first rep is kind of the in your head rep, where people are kind of trying to feel their way, even seasoned lifters. And in a set, if you look at the second rep, the second and third rep are almost always better than the first rep. They're almost always more natural, a natural hip position. Lifters aren't thinking as much. They're not as, thought locked as they were on the first rep. And usually, the first rep, you might see hips come up a little bit as they pull. Head might be a little bit forward. They might be overthinking things a little bit. But on the second rep, usually there's really good hip discipline because of because they're already in the mix. They're not thinking as much. They're just trying to survive. So I want you guys to film your deadlift from the side next time. And I want you to get in the habit of doing that frequently and see if you notice this. See if you notice that your second rep will almost look more disciplined and tight than your first rep. The second thing people rarely talk about on the deadlift is the impact of hip positioning, okay? And here's the thing, if you start with your hips too low and you start to pull, your hips are going to start to rise to accommodate for that lack of imperfect leverage. So you start with your hips too low, too seated on the deadlift. When you start to pull or stand up, your hips are going to start to rise or gain speed or gain acceleration when you pull, and it's going to have a tendency to throw you forward. Now, on the other hand, if you start with your hips too high, you're starting in a bad leverage position or a more poor leverage position. And when you pull or stand up, your hips are going to rise and accelerate as well because they have nowhere else to go. They're not going to sink down and try to seek that perfect leverage position. They're going to kind of move up as a way to stop you from doing such a foolish action because you are in a poor leverage position to begin with. You're trying to pull. Your hips are going to come up because your body wants you to set the weight on the ground. So the point here is that when you're filming your deadlift videos, to watch. Hips too low, hips are going to come up when you pull. Hips too high, hips are going to come up when you pull. So what we want to do as deadlifters is try to find that sweet spot for our hips and work on that. And you want to work on hip discipline. Instead of pulling or yanking on the bar, you want to think stand up, even if it means standing up a little bit more slowly than you want, and trying to keep those hips as disciplined as possible, in position as possible. Because if you can get the bar off the ground with keeping your hips in place, you're going to accelerate better, you're going to have better leverages, and you're going to have a better pull. So and one final point when it comes to hips too low or hips too high, it's almost impossible with the deadlift to nail proper hip position on every single rep. It's almost impossible because it's a game of, quarter inch, a half inch, but you want to kind of work on it and stay in that sweet spot. Doing things like rolling your deadlifts, doing things like touch and goes, that discourages, that makes it harder to stay tight, makes it harder to have consistent hip position. So many people over the years are asking me, what do you think of touch and goes? What do you think of rolling the bar? I am all for super consistent deadlifts, resetting after every rep because of the hip position issue. So guys, hope this video has been of some help. If you have any questions or comments, drop them down below. If you made it this far in this video and have yet to subscribe to my channel, please do. I'd appreciate the support. So guys, as always, thanks for watching. Have a great day.